All the questions on so many of your minds is there were signs, warning signs that the suspect would be capable of a mass shooting. And what could motivate him to do what he did? This morning we are joined by South Florida psychologist Dr. Bushman, here to give us a little bit of insight into this very tragic situation. And we're going to talk about how to talk with our kids in just a bit, doctor. But as you heard there, two accounts from two students that knew Nicholas Cruz, and just two of so many accounts that we've heard of students who've known him for years saying that they were not surprised that he was the person behind this heinous act. Doc, so let's start with the fact there is no excuse in this world that would ever condemn this heinous act. But somewhere along the line, something snapped with Cruz. Let's start there. Tell us more.
Well, definitely a disconnect, right? We hear that he's lost parents and he's been expelled from school. And what comes to mind for me first is wondering where the follow-up was, where the continuity of care has been for a young teenager who's gone through some traumatic and troublesome events.
Yeah, so there was definitely a loss of care, of attention, right?
Yes.
Of conversation. So just social media alone, that was a red flag in itself that should have been raised, even more so to an adult. What are some other signs, red flags, that we as parents should talk to our kids, as teachers talk to our children about, raising concern when we see these red flags?
Well, first of all, you'll notice a disconnect. Right, a disconnect in children, perhaps in their communication patterns, in their relationships. You'll maybe notice them isolating, spending more time alone, not doing activities that they've been doing, withdrawing from situations, maybe perhaps an irritability in conversations, a frustration. Shift.
And doctor, I do want to say, because we also, we have independent kids. Some kids are just a little bit more introverted and they are independent. They do really well on themselves. But I think the word irritability, defensive, I think those are the key words there. Those are the red flags that we want to look out for. Not just a kid who's being independent and just does well on his own, his or her own. It's just the irritable there, I think, is a key word that we should look out for, right? What are some other red flags?
Perhaps shifts in their behaviors, right? Noticing increased amounts of sleep. A child who was paying attention in class is now falling asleep and not participating. Perhaps even all of a sudden differences, like we mentioned, of not doing activities and events, argumentative. Right, or argumentative is it would like along the lines of the irritability. Yeah,
argumentative, not having conversation as well. If you see any of these red flags in society, in your community at all, tell a parent, tell a counselor, tell a teacher, and continue that conversation. Don't just tell them once, follow up on it as well. Dr. Bushman, you're going to join us all morning long. We're going to continue this conversation, not only these red flags, but how you can talk to your children, to your grandchildren, to your nieces and your nephews about what has happened here in our community and how we move forward from this. That is something that we'll be tackling here as well on NBC6 today. Continuing coverage here. We'll be right back after this.